Hi, welcome to another phone review. So it's finally here. I like to think of the 4A as the underdog, the one that surprises us all by doing an amazing job. But then I remembered that the phone's made by Google, so forget about that analogy. The Pixel 4A is a mid-range phone, so let's first get into price. The Pixel 4A costs $349 US, £349, 599 Australian dollars, and 340 euros and 20 euro cents. There's also going to be a 5G variant that will cost $499 US and come later, but I'm going to cover the 4G model in this video. The chipset is usually an afterthought on these mid-range phones, but Google very wisely chose the Snapdragon 730G as it could bring the price down, and Google knows how it runs as it's been in quite a few mid-range phones. The phone has just one storage option, 128GB of storage and 6GB of RAM. The phone has a 3140 mAh battery, which sounds awful, but it's saved in part due to its small display. It's actually a decent idea, and I'll explain why when I talk about the display. The phone has 18-watt charging, and that's okay because of the small battery size. The haptics are excellent here, and they are even sometimes triggered in the system UI. For example, when you scroll through the list of numbers for the timer. Like the chipset, display quality is usually an afterthought on mid-rangers unless you're buying a Samsung mid-ranger, but Google chose a 5.81-inch 1080p OLED panel. I'll now explain Google's bezel problem. The bezels on this phone are the smallest on a Google Pixel phone, with an 83.3% screen-to-body ratio. Every other Google Pixel phone before has either had bigger bezels, like on the OG Pixel and the Pixel 4, or a hideous notch, like on the Pixel 3 XL. It's also the first Pixel phone with a hole punch. The fact that a mid-range phone did these first is actually quite incredible. I'll now explain the small display. Having a small display is better than you may think. Having a small display means that Google gets to pay less for that display. They can get away with a smaller 3140 mAh battery because it takes up less drain, and they can get away with an 18-watt charger because there's less battery to charge up. It also means that you get a cheaper phone, and Google gets to focus on other elements of the phone, like software. The only downside with the smaller display is that you have less space to fit internals in. Moving back to the rest of the specs, the display has Gorilla Glass 3 for protection, which is actually pretty common with mid-range phones, and the back is made of plastic. It's not like Google tried to make the plastic look like glass. Google chose plastic and stuck with it all the way, and it looks really nice. The phone does only come in just black, but that also means that Google can focus on other elements of the phone, and it's way easier to get into stores. The phone has a hole punch in the left of the top section of the phone. It's not the most subtle hole punch, but once you get used to it, it's like it's never there. The phone weighs in at a light 143 grams due to its small battery and plastic back and frame. There's no IP rating, but that can be excused because basically that never happens with mid-range phones. There's a headphone jack at the top of the phone, and it's nice to see the jack back. On the back there's a 12 megapixel wide sensor, and on the front there's an 8 megapixel wide sensor for selfies. Now I know, the camera specs sound horrible, but man are the photos and videos phenomenal. The software is so good that you forget about the fact that the specs are horrible. The software is chock full of features to make your photos exactly how you want it. The only thing that I would have liked is an ultra-wide sensor, but apart from that, this is a top-class photo and video taker. The speakers are stereo, and they're great. The only problem I have with them is that when you turn up the volume, it does start to struggle a little bit, but apart from that little nitpick, they're fantastic. This phone is basically perfect, and guess what? It's cheaper than phones like the iPhone SE and Galaxy A51 in some regions. Not all, but still. And guess what? Those phones have a big problem that prevent them from greatness. With the iPhone SE, it's battery life, and you could also say that the low-res screen and bezels are annoying too. With the Galaxy A51, it's the Exynos 9611 chipset. But the problems with the Pixel 4a are so minor that they're easy to ignore. I can definitely recommend this phone. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, tap the bell icon, tap the like button, comment, and definitely consider sharing this video. Check out the other videos on screen if they sound interesting. Also, join my Discord and I'll catch you in the next one.